one of the great friends that I've made in this business over the last, say, 5, 6 years. We initially started out being soccer conversation, and it has evolved and changed, and now it's completely different. And so I'm very excited. You gave me a scare there for a second, but Jesse Bradley joining us from Seattle, and he's not only a former pro soccer goalie, soccer analyst extraordinaire, but a father and a husband and a chaplain for the Sounders, and also so comfortable on video. You've been doing this a lot longer than me, Jesse.
Amy, congratulations on your new show. And I think adding the video is great. I mean, so many people have been listening to you cover sports, doing it with excellence, all different sports for many years. And then now you made these big life changes, married, moved to Texas, and then starting this show. So I'm excited to be joining you from the beginning. I think you're going to look back over the years, and it's going to be amazing. Just every episode, and good job. We all need to take risks. We all need to step out of our comfort zone. And I think you're modeling that. So great job.
I figured at this point, so this is 30 years in 2026, 30 years for me in the industry, going back to when I started in news and wanted to work in sports. But I thought, if you're not evolving and changing and you're not pushing yourself a little bit, then you might as well give up the ghost. So this is different for me. But I know I was telling our audience earlier that when you and I first started doing conversations, you would be on video and you wouldn't be able to see me. I would just be using the audio. So now it's kind of come together where we're both able to see each other on camera.
Yes, but you're a radio expert, and I think people love that connection. And you're also someone with a lot of authenticity. I think people are going to enjoy being able to see, okay, your facial expressions and your passion and just, adding all that to it. So this is a good move.
So last week, very first show, dog threw up right behind me. So that was very authentic. and then as we were wrapping the week, I was all excited. I'm like, okay, we finished up. I didn't break anything. I'm at my mom's house doing the show, and this bug is attacking me, and it's like buzzing the tower, like in Top Gun. And I couldn't help it. It's the automatic reaction. So the last thing people saw last week is me going like this with a bug. That never happens to you. I see you on TV all the time. That doesn't happen to you.
Was it a Texas-sized bug, Amy? Because
they're all critters.
When I lived in Texas, it was 4 years. There was one night I literally woke up and thought there was some large animal in my room. But as I went to look for it, it was 2 cockroaches, and they were going through my garbage can, and they were massive. Everything's bigger in Texas, including these cockroaches. And they're slime. You turn on the lights, and they just slither back into the darkness. Cockroaches don't like the light. And I had to, kill those cockroaches. So I think if you, show a bug, if you show whatever the animal's done there, I mean, this is definitely not available on radio.
That's true. Although you're not going to get me picking up a bug like that, but we have seen some enormous beetles. I mean, longer than an inch. We've seen huge beetles. And recently, I'm not sure what's going on, but little baby geckos. So they almost look like leaves on the floor, and I'll bend down to kind of pick it up and that thing's moving, and they are fast and not dangerous. I don't know how they get in the house, but we've got a family of geckos. The dogs will, if they see them moving, would follow them around the house. So they're probably best not to be here. But outside. So my husband just went out so we have 5 acres and the back is mature woods. He went out there yesterday because he's got a deer cam getting ready for hunting season. He stumbled upon a large group of wild hogs. So we have wild hogs back there. We've also got a family of raccoons. There are deer, and then coyotes. So we haven't heard them much this summer, but where we are in the country, Jesse, oh my gosh, at night, the way they communicate, it's eerie to hear them howling to each other. Oh my gosh. So it's a whole, and then there's cows, horses, sheep, goats. Yeah, we're in animal paradise here.
I mean, we're talking, Amy, about your new show and going from radio to now adding video. But what you could also add, and I think this is why people love going on the adventure with you, is marriage is new. Everyone is interested in that shift, from being single to married. Then your career change, because, on the East Coast, you were well established with major networks, teaching at Syracuse University. I mean, you had so much there. And then to start, in Texas, which is such a cultural change, there are not wild hogs running through New York City. So all these benefits of going to Texas. But I think It reminds me when my wife and I, Lori, got married. We went from Iowa to California. I sold my house, and then we went and tried to find and rent a place, and just marriage was new. And
Yeah.
sometimes on the scales, it's like, okay, a stressor, at least on paper, would be getting married or moving or new job, or you just go down the list. And I was like, I think we hit all those. You are just saying, here it is. Be transparent, but God is with you. You're walking by faith, and you're just taking it well, being in Texas. And I know being close to family was a huge factor too.
Yeah, that is why we moved. And there's so many people around the country that can identify with this, where I say elderly. My parents, our moms are not elderly, but they're into their 80s. My mom's about to be 80. And I've lived away from my mom most of my career because I had to follow the jobs, and my husband's whole family is here. So family was really the catalyst for moving. But yes, it's been some culture shock. So I'm glad you can identify. And we've determined, so our first 2 years of marriage, each one of them featured a cross country move. So now we've determined, if nothing else, in 2026, we will not make a cross country move. So we're here for at least a few years anyway. So yeah,
Nice.
you definitely
That's
identify. But it's true that you oftentimes, when you make a big decision, have to rank your priorities, so to speak. You have to remember what's most important. And sometimes it can be a job, maybe younger in your lifetime, but very often, if you're going to honor your parents, like the word talks about, you need to be where you can actually be part of their lives and participate. And so I've got a lot of friends who are going through this right now, whether moving their parents or helping their parents sell a house, or in some cases burying their parents, and everything that comes along with that. And I just don't want to miss, and neither does my husband, whatever time we have left. Let's hope it's another 50 years with our moms. But whatever time we have left. So yeah, this is a decision that was made for family, for sure.
When you talk about God's work, some people compartmentalize and think, oh, it only happens in a church. But no, what you're doing, caring for parents, and there are so many people who are in that role, and you don't know exactly their health. What's it going to be like? Are they going to be able to drive? For how long? Are you going to step in with sales? And caring for people, especially family. Sometimes in our culture, we just value the big opportunity or the career move, and then families are so spread out, and it's difficult long distance. And what I see right now is people realizing, and COVID even, I think, brought a reset as well, where it's like, what really matters in life? Like God, family, friends. And it isn't just about where you can make the most money or the next career advancement and climbing the ladder. Yes, it's good to develop your skills, and praise God for open doors. But I think right now what I see is that people are connecting when those three generations are together. There was an opportunity for me to say yes to two different churches, to be the lead pastor. And one was in Pennsylvania, and it was a massive church. And then there's a small church in California. But the smaller church was close to my parents. And that meant that with our young kids, they could get time with their grandparents and vice versa. And there's something about those three generations coming together. We were just at a family camp, Christian Camp Mount Hermon in California, and so many come, and there's three generations, and they're all, just loving each other, having a great time, following Jesus. And that's rich, and no career can bring that family together. So you've made some intentional, wise moves, but I hear you dropping the anchor. There's going to be no move. Like, you're not coming out to Seattle next. You've done New York City, Texas, and
not now. Right.
Yeah, let's hit a pause button.
Yeah, but it's been good, and I'm glad to hear you say that your decisions for family have worked out, because that is an encouragement as well. And what's really interesting too is that as we're talking about faith, and I love that these conversations have become more prominent in sports. You are the chaplain for the Seattle Sounders, and you've also worked with the under-20 U.S. men's national team. And I know you've done some chaplain, or had a chaplain role with them too, and done some Bible studies, even some prayer. It's awesome how in 2026, more athletes are willing to speak about the role that faith plays, because they're out there putting minds and bodies on the line. You certainly understand what that's like, but to also have that mental and spiritual and emotional stability and foundation, it's become ever more prominent. And I think it's really neat because it's not something that you have to make secondary or bury. Now, it seems like every day the athletes and part of the World Cup too, talking about the role that faith plays. So I think it's really neat that it's become more common and that we can have those conversations now.
Yes. And as it comes together, there's a lot of different factors. I think one of them is that teams, franchises, they care for players' mental health, they care for their spiritual lives, they bring in chaplains, and they realize that when a player off the field is doing well, that translates on the field. They're related. And just also loving in whatever field you're in, loving the people who work for you and providing for them. And that's one element. Then I think we have a younger generation and things are changing. For baby boomers, they go to church 1.4 times a month, but Gen Z 1.9. And you're also seeing a younger generation that doesn't want to hide their faith. They just want to be authentic. They're not being rude, but they're asking. When they get an interview, they're saying, can I share about my faith? Because it's a big part of who they are. And they don't want it to just tuck it away, but they want to be public, private, consistent, and just share what means a lot to them. I love being a chaplain. And, last night we had the Sounders against Chivas. It was exciting. And gathering together those chapels before the matches. And we gather together and pray and read some scripture. And then also with serving for the national teams, our under 20 team was just in CONCACAF, the finals, and it was Mexico City, but they had a great run, won a lot of games, and we would gather together online and doing it long distance. But sometimes I'll go to the camps, and players are just like anyone else. It might look like professional athletes and national team players have it all together, but they have insecurities, they have tragedies, they have injuries, they have life decisions that they're making around marriage, around careers, contracts, all of these. And you need a safe place. We all do, where you can be honest, let your guard down. Chaplains don't ask things from players. Players get 1,000 requests, but chaplains are just there for the players. And to provide that safe place where they can talk, process, pray, and come alongside. And for me, I was an atheist. I wanted nothing to do with faith. Soccer was everything. I was at Dartmouth, Ivy League school. Signed up for a religion class, was not seeking God, trying to fulfill my distributives, and read the Bible for the first time and just learned about this God who loves us. And it's a relationship. It's not religion. And he's with us everywhere. And you can talk to God and then receive encouragement, peace, and hope. And it was like when God came into my life, now soccer, instead of a lot of pressure, being a goalie, you can't mess up. Now it's just fun. It's a gift. It's joy. My teammates. And it matters. Faith matters. And what you're seeing right now is a generation that you saw with the national team for soccer at the World Cup. They pray together after the match. They share their faith. Messi sharing his faith. Players from every team sharing their faith. I've never seen, and this is global, I've never seen athletes, it's not just soccer, sharing about their relationship with God. And there's going to be mixed reactions to that, but they're not out there to try to get everyone's approval, and they're doing it humbly and honestly, authentically, with love. But if it makes a difference in their life, whatever we're excited about, we're going to talk about. That's just human nature. So that's what they're doing. They're excited. They're talking.
So using part of your story, because you went through this major shift when you were playing pro soccer as a goalie, where you kind of lost soccer. It was pulled out from underneath you. It was your platform. It was your everything, as you talk about. I feel like that's something with athletes where it gives them great perspective, because eventually the crowds are going to go away. Eventually, whether it's via an injury or even if it ends in the Hall of Fame, like Drew Brees, how they often talk about the adjustment post sports and post career. But even the average NFL career doesn't last 5 seasons. So you do it for a couple of years, you're in the spotlight, maybe you make great money, but then it's gone. And I feel like that's one of the ways and one of the reasons why faith and family and just having priorities in order can be so important, because we focus a lot of attention, and there maybe is a ton of money, and there's high profile, and you're famous, and then you're not, and the world moves on, and you're left with nothing, maybe, if you're not prepared for it.
Yes. And you heard Drew Brees say it so clearly. As a teenager, he came to know Jesus. And then he was listing, here's the chaplains, here's the pastors that help build me up. And that goes beyond the sport because their playing days end. If you're 40 years old, your professional career is probably over. I know some are extending. LeBron's an exception, Ronaldo's an exception, but it's a short career. And where I struggled with identity, because when I played in Africa, eventually I was sick overseas and it ended my career. I was fighting for my life for a year. And I was there in my parents' home, which I didn't expect to be, going from physician to physician to physician and waiting in this restoration process and just thinking I didn't have a backup career. Who am I? Without soccer, without achievement, without health, without friends, like, who am I? And that's the deep identity question. And you can try to answer that in a lot of ways, but I say this, if your ultimate identity or your ultimate hope is in something you can lose, that's not the best choice. I mean, you can lose money, you can lose a job, you can lose some health, you can lose some friends. So our deepest identity, and I had to make that shift because before that it was performance-based and it was, what am I doing? And who you are is not what you do. There's a difference. And the identity shift for me was now grace-based. I'll never, never stop being a child of God. And we're daughters or sons of God. Security, I know Jesus has forgiven my sins because of his death and resurrection. I'm going to heaven. I have eternal destiny that's secure. I mean, all those security points. I like to say security leads to authenticity. And the most authentic people are going to be most secure. And security is not found in something you achieve or something you can purchase or something on your resume. And we're built for love. We're built for relationship. And so God brings that in the deepest way. And then, of course, community. And all the studies show this. I mean, Harvard says, human flourishing, people who are active with their faith, there's a difference in generosity and purpose, and they're able to forgive, and they're not going to be as commonly going to bad behavior and drug addictions and all of that. And so I see it in Seattle when people come to know Jesus. They step out of homelessness. They step out of addictions. We had prison ministry for 10 years. When they come to know Jesus, now they're coming out and they're ready to serve the community, and they're changed. They're different. But it was true in the Ivy League for me, and success on the outside, empty on the inside. So there is the Jesus factor, whatever you want to call it, but it's our identity. And sports, I still am involved in sports. I didn't see that coming. But there's also a grieving, because when you're a professional athlete, there'll never be something just like that, where you're in the locker room with the team, you go out, the stadium's full.
The adrenaline rush.
all of it. And it's okay to grieve. You're not less spiritual if you grieve. And whether that's a person, a season of life that isn't going, and your career, it's hard. Even if you choose on your terms how you want to end, there's still a grieving there. But with that grieving, what I found is that when I played, it was all about keeping the ball to the back of the net, and it was all about saving goals. But now, years later, I can see that God had a plan, and it's what he wanted to do in terms of saving souls and reaching out to the community. And you see with a lot of athletes, they play on the field, but then they're active in their community. They're visiting kids who have cancer. They are serving human trafficking ministry. I mean, there's just so many ways to get involved in your community, live out your faith. And that's more meaningful than the stadium, that's electric. That's more meaningful long-term, but it's different. And through the World Cup, I mean, literally 4 years ago, we saw 480,000 people turn to Jesus. And this was online to follow him. And then this World Cup, we had 45,000 physical watch party kits. Wow. We had 70,000 churches involved. I mean, all the ministries I'm mentioning, like human trafficking, we had that in Seattle, prayer tables. I mean, there were so many people serving and just helping out with the World Cup. And that's what it looks like to soccer and sports create community, but the love of God unites us. And soccer, sports teach us about life. They reveal character, but also sports are that open door to go love your neighbor and to live out your faith. And just think of all the community that happens around sports. So I love to talk about that intersection of sports and faith.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Still have the choosehope.org. That's still a way that people can learn more. It's been neat because the curiosity is there, and no one's trying to force something down your throat. It's an understanding, especially through the sports lens, which is where you and I operate for work a lot of the times. But just understanding that there's more to these athletes and to human beings than what they do, as you talk about. And I know the identity question, even for me, when I left my overnight job in February of 25, I did struggle with that, even though I've got faith and I've got family family, and I've got priorities that are beyond work. But yeah, what am I if I'm not a radio host? And so it was really good for me to remember you're a daughter of the King, right? You're a believer, you're a child of God. And I love that people are curious about it and that 2026 more people are speaking about it. So that's amazing. ChooseHope.org, right? That's where people can find out more.
JustChooseHope.org.
JustChooseHope.org.
Yeah, JustChooseHope.org. And you'll see we have interviews with like some of the soccer players we've been talking about, the most famous soccer players in the world. We have a podcast on there. And also, no one ever told me about faith when I was growing up. So JustChooseHope.org, we take like the 20 most common questions and then unpack it. And there's also Bible studies, because what I see is a lot of people at home don't know what to do. Like, what should I read, or what's a prayer I can pray, or, what's a topic that would be helpful? And we've got all those series laid out. It's all free. So yeah, you can go to that website as well.
Awesome. So before I let you go, I love the jersey that you're wearing there with the USA. I'm torn, Jesse, because I love the wave of excitement, the buzz, the energy around the World Cup, especially with our 250th birthday. That was a gift. I just lament that it ended too soon, right? And you and I were on the same page. We're like, goal is semifinals. Let's go. So there are some amazing positives, but it only comes around another 4 years. So we've got to wait. This one was on our soil. Now, having had a month or so to process what we saw with the World Cup, what's your evaluation? Where is the U.S. men's national team now?
Amy, if we would have made it to the semifinals, you would have added the soccer ball to the all-in logo. I can see it there. There's a little space there. We would have had it happen. But the team fell short. That's all right. Yeah. We'll be back in 4 years. Soccer's on the rise. First of all, worldwide, it's number one. I mean, 6 billion people watch the World Cup, and that's not changing. There's no close second. But in terms of American development, there's more outstanding coaches. There's more youth participation. Our best players are now playing in the top leagues all around the world. The MLS continues to ascend. I mean, the quality of the play, it just keeps improving. That's important because the kids need to be able to see what does it look like in the highest level to play, and then inspired. And the best athletes too then say, I want to play soccer. I want to do that one day. All of those different factors and the experience. We've got a great coach, but he didn't have a lot of time. So they just re-signed him, having 4 years. You need stability. A lot of times, in a national team, a country will take players from 10 different clubs and they just haven't played together that much. It's hard to get that continuity. And you're looking for any edge because all the players are incredible on all the teams. But we know this. It's chemistry and it's connection and it's knowing each other and where you want the ball and who's going to make the run. And that takes time to develop. So having the same coach, consistency for another 4 years, that will help as well. But overall, we do need to still make changes. I mean, the pay to play, the youth sports is so expensive. I mean, we've got to make it more accessible to everyone. That's the beauty of soccer worldwide is that, I lived in Africa. You can literally take plastic bags, put them together, make a ball, and they have bare feet and it's rocky and they're out there playing all day long. So that love and passion for the sport, that's for soccer to keep growing in America. You're going to need to see in more garages, backyards, playgrounds. People are just playing for the love of game. Kids are playing all the time and then putting in that work. But our players now, we have an attacking style. We haven't had that as much in the years past. We've been strong defensively. So putting those two together going forward, we're about 15th in the world right now. We have all the resources. There's a new development complex and it's national in Atlanta that's being built. It took a long time, but now that's being built. So facilities are there. There's a lot going the right direction. So,
okay.
Yeah, there you go. Those are all the factors I would highlight. And I think it's on the rise, but it took me a while. Basketball was my passion. And, soccer is a little bit of an acquired taste. And this is what I'd also say is when I played overseas, the people who are watching and even the nations, they know the intricacies, the details. They appreciate the skills. They see the runs off the ball. In America, because it's newer, it's been more like, did they score? Did they hit somebody? And it's like, oh, there's even more to the game than that. And now what I see is when people are watching, they're tuned in and they're appreciating it. And so it doesn't, strike you as obvious. You watch UFC and it's like, you don't have to know the sport. You see them like go all out and pound each other and like it's visible, it's palpable. but soccer, there's a lot to it. It's learned as well. And I think I've never heard more people in the World Cup say, I loved watching. I'm going to watch more soccer. So I've never seen that before in our country. Something's happening there.
Before I let you go, you had a chance to go to a game there in Seattle as part of the World Cup. Like I said, the buzz and the energy is unlike anything that I feel like I've experienced in a long time. And that includes the NFL, but it was different because if you're part of the red, white, and blue, you're all in. And that's why we're not just talking about one franchise, one team. We're talking about a country here. What was it like to be there for that game in Seattle?
Amazing. There were 6 matches in Seattle. People said it felt like overseas. It felt like Europe.
Wow.
Soccer has a unique culture. There's a lot of singing and dancing and just celebrating in relationships. And so, last night we had Sounders and Chivas, and you could hear Sounders, Chivas, and back and forth in the stadium. But everyone's having a great time together. It brings nations together. I went to the match against Australia. It's like an all-day party. And from before the match to after the match, and people are just talking, getting to know each other. There's music, there's dancing, and soccer's unique like that. People came from other countries that didn't even go to the match, but they just wanted to be here for the environment. And that's another piece to it. I saw like Korean and Mexican fans, just having fun together at the World Cup. When I play pickup soccer, it's like, and league soccer, and my league team, there's Ukraine and Russia, and they're on the same team. We're on the same team together. And it's like, you think about the tension in that part of the world, but soccer, we're united. So the nations come together, 48 nations, and the different countries that would come, we would just be building relationships, getting to know people. Do you want free water? We had a prayer table. People would come up for prayer, and they would be coming from other countries. Senegal, here they're coming for Belgium. Here they are coming forward. And it unites, and then we go deeper together, and it's just a pure joy. So soccer has that momentum and that platform right now. But Amy, it reminds me that in heaven, there'll be people from every nation, tongue, and tribe. And that's what the Bible says. That's how it ends. And that's our home. And we're going to be with God. No more war, strife, hatred, violence, cancer. Like, it's all gone. And it won't be a soccer ball in the middle. It'll be Jesus. He's on the throne. And just finally, it's like, this is what it's meant to be. And with the World Cup, you get a little taste. Like, this is what it could be. This is what it could be. We come together. We love each other. We unite. We're all equal. We're all made in God's image. And then in heaven, again, thanks to Jesus, that will be forever, not just like 6 weeks in a summer. So
there might be a soccer ball or a basketball. You never know.
Yeah,
I'm open to that. There's got to be food. We know there's food. I believe there's animals. My favorite things. I don't know if there's coffee, but I feel like we could get pickup games on the streets of gold.
Definitely. We're going to be active. People think like, oh, heaven, you just sit around and there's going to be angels playing harps and we're bored all day. It's like, are you serious? What Bible are you reading? So it's going to be glorious, fulfilling. We're active. We're using our talents. Like, it's going to be, there won't be one bit of disappointment. No one's going to show up at heaven, because some people show up at sports games like, yeah, it wasn't as good as I thought. Our team didn't play well. No one's going to show up at heaven and say, God didn't think of this. He could have done that better. Like, I don't know who designed this place. Like, we're just going to be like, we get to be here forever. Like, this is the grace of God. So it's fun. Stadiums are just, when that passion and everyone coming together. And that's what the World Cup brought. I think it was kind of like a distraction, and not in a bad way, but just like, oh yeah, joy, hope, like fun, sports, like, and getting to know new people. And it's like treating each other kindly. And it was just that little reminder in that glimpse. And I think we need to step out of some ruts. I don't know how say it, but step out of selfishness, step out of materialism, step out of pride, step out of our egos, step out of so many things that are traps that we get stuck. And it's like, all right, love God, love your neighbor, serve each other, community. That was so strong. And the individual life, like, we're not self-sufficient. You talked about it. It just coming out of that cave of just, we drive home, we go into our garage, we close the garage door, we don't know our neighbors, it's just not a lot of community. It's like, no, there's something better. And when you start to get out in your community and make a difference and serve and be active, it's like, this is what life, Jesus came to bring abundant life, not just eternal, but abundant. And I think we're going to have to be counter-cultural in a lot of ways to kind of restore some of that hope and restore community and relationships, and it's going to be through love. And it's God is the source. The vertical and the horizontal go together. God downloads it. He gives it. He's generous. Receive it. Be filled up. You can't give what you don't have. So like receive from God, and then don't be passive. God doesn't give us a spirit of timidity, but power, love, a sound mind. And I think it's a time we're going to need to be intentional, be part of the solution. Complain. We got enough complainers. We got enough people grumbling. We don't need more of that. Like, let's be grateful. Let's be part of the solution. And it's got to be everyone. It can't just be 10% of people in church or 10% are doing community service. Like, we need everyone to step up.
Well, and it's like a locker room, right? A locker room or a clubhouse where, I mean, chemistry can be hard to define, but you know it when you see it, when you feel it. Teams don't win unless everybody buys in and everybody's doing his or her part. And so I do love that sports are kind of a microcosm of what it means to be in a community. It's a team. Maybe it's more like a family even. You've got your leaders, you've got your servers, you've got your vocal, members, you've got those who would rather be behind the scenes. It takes all kinds of different personalities or ethnicities or backgrounds, whether it's soccer, football, whether it's football day Americano, my friends in Cuba call it that. And so it is kind of like a microcosm when you look at a locker room too.
That's it. There's a culture in the locker room. I say championships are won there first. If you like each other, it's a good team. If you love each other, it's a great team. And I still keep in touch with, I got together with a guy this week that we played soccer together at 7 years old. We haven't seen each other for years, and we just had such a great time. I mean, my college teammates, we're connecting this week as well. I mean, it's those relationships. Life's about relationships. And then everyone has a role. And you know this if you've been on a team, that every position's important, but also everyone on the bench, every practice. And how could we do it if only, let's say in churches, 10% are active? Well, if you couldn't use 90% of your body today, that wouldn't be a good thing. And if there was 90% unemployment in your city, that wouldn't be a good thing, right? For the city to have 90% unemployment. So we've got to step out of our comfort zone. I think in America, the idol is being comfortable. And I don't want to take those relationship risks. I'm afraid of failure. What ifs? All of that goes through our mind. And again, I think God gives us courage for breakthrough. There's a generation that literally dies in the wilderness after God provided deliverance, slavery, Egypt, and God says, go to the promised land. And they just go in circles because they lack faith. They lack instead of being grateful to God, they're grumbling. And they just get stuck. And Joshua and Caleb rise up and they say, we can do this. Like, we've seen us go in circles for a generation. Let's go forward. And God does something new and there's breakthrough. And that's where I feel like we're at in a lot of areas as a picture. They go from Pharaoh's hand to the sand to the land, from the hand to the sand to the land. And nice. I feel like we've gone from hand to sand, but I don't think let's go to the land. Like Joshua and Caleb, they have a different spirit. That's what we need right now.
I love it. So justchoosehope.org, or if you want to find Jesse online at Jesse J. Bradley, and there's lots of videos there. He does appearances all over the country. Really cool to talk to you face to face, which is fun. But also we've been able to develop this relationship just starting with media and talking about soccer, and it gives me great joy too as well. So I appreciate it, Jesse, especially some extra time today.
Right on. And Amy, you just picked up the video stuff, your show. It just looks like you've been doing this for years. So run with it. With it, Amy.
All
yeah.
Right,
and it's fun talking about sports, life. I mean, I know both of us with adoption have a passion, and that's another topic for another day. But I think the friendships we build through sports, and then just keep running with that, because I think for so many people, especially youth sports, parents involve so much time and energy and travel, and they just wonder okay, is it good? Is it not good? And I'm like, well, if you connect with those other families, I know some people that bring food to practices, some of them have prayer and even Bible study, and some of them share their faith. Some of them, they're just serving, and, they're not rude to the referee, and, they're shining the light in that way. And wherever you are, God is with you. And so shine that light, and let sports just know that that's part of what God's doing, through the World Cup and through shows like this. God is working through sports right now like we've never seen before. So let's do it together.
Yeah, and we will do this again. It's great to see you. Enjoy the rest of your week. It's happy almost Friday. That's how I
Yes.
brand the Thursday. And yeah, it's awesome. We'll talk again soon, of course.
Great. Keep up the good work, Amy. Thank you.
At Jesse J. Bradley is where you can find him. And I think that might be the longest conversation we've ever had, which is nice. I appreciate the internet and YouTube for that. The fact that I don't necessarily have to stick to a clock, but we can have a conversation that not only do we enjoy, but a lot of great encouragement and hope and support. And you never know who's listening and at what point of your life you might be in where something that Jesse had to say really resonated. So I love the fact that he brings as much exuberance and joy and sometimes even more energy than I do. So I never hang up or end a conversation with Jesse without feeling like I've been uplifted, which is terrific. He's really good at what he does. Like I said, he's all over the place. You'll see him on major news networks and the Sounders Chaplain, and just choosehope.org is the website.